It's being called the Empire of Rot, and the Iranian people are finally rising up. These are scenes from the city of Isfahan. Thousands of retired workers in the telecommunications industry just discovered that their pensions that they spent decades paying into are gone. And they did something Iranians rarely do without fear of a bullet in the street. They marched in daylight and pointed the finger directly at the IRGC, not America, not Israel, the regime, by name. And they're not alone. The Iranian regime is finally beginning to crack, and it's none other than the legacy media that's openly admitting it. Stick them to the very end of this video because we're going to see how this week may indeed be the week the mullahs finally run out of road, with both the war and the regime coming to a decisive end. Hey gang, it's me, Dr. Steve, your patron professor, here to help you make sense of the madness. We're breaking news and analysis you're not going to get anywhere else. You know what to do. Make sure to smack that bell and subscribe button. Also, I wrote my latest book, Civcosm, Gods, Algorithms, and the Rise of a Civilizational Cosmocracy, because I got tired of watching people try to make sense of a world that no longer fits the old maps. And now for the first time in years, I'm teaching it live. 6 weeks, real Q&A. We're walking through this together, chapter by chapter, starting September 8th. So if you're ready to stop reacting and start understanding the world like never before, click the link below and reserve your seat. All right, gang, let's dive right in here. Here's what President Trump just posted as of 8:41 a.m. this morning. Quote, Iran is completely collapsing. 4 words. Iran is completely collapsing. This comes as news is broken of Iran's currency, the rial, being in an absolute freefall, imploding past 2 million rials to the dollar, all as the United States is now set to unveil details of its economic D-Day package as of today. Simply put, the Iranian regime could not possibly be in a more weakened position. They've lost the strait, they've lost the streets, and now this morning they're losing their currency itself, the rial cratering past 2 million to the dollar in an absolute freefall. A devaluation so severe, it's wiping out whatever little purchasing power ordinary Iranians had left. Treasury Secretary Scott Bessent himself called the coming sanctions package, quote, the single greatest financial offensive ever marshaled against an adversary, vowing to sever every economic lifeline that sustains the tyrannical regime until Tehran completely teeters. Trump wasn't exaggerating this morning when he posted that Iran is completely collapsing, because right now, in real time, that's exactly what the numbers, the streets, and the regime's own leaders are telling us. In one of the more stunning developments in this war, the grandson of Ayatollah Khomeini was filmed openly admitting that the U.S. blockade has inflicted devastating and crushing effects on the Islamic Republic. Speaking in front of President Pezeshkian and other government officials, Khomeini acknowledged that the regime is being squeezed from every direction. He described the pressure as so severe that it could bring down 10 governments in the region. It was a stunning admission, and it comes as an increasing number of legacy media outlets are indeed realizing that the Trump administration has known what it's been doing all along, and the strategy is indeed working. The single most powerful regime in the Middle East is collapsing. The New York Post stated it bluntly. From what they can see, Iran is losing, and it is losing badly on every front that matters. The central proof point is the Strait of Hormuz, the one lever, the one point of leverage the mullahs brag they use to bring the world to its knees has failed. It completely and totally failed. U.S. escorts are now moving roughly 200 vessels a week through Hormuz, a near 400% jump from just 2 weeks earlier, proving Tehran's blockade threat was all bluster. Meanwhile, the Post notes inflation inside Iran was already running above 90%, with mass unemployment gutting the country so badly the regime can no longer even reliably pay its own regular army, not the IRGC, just the actual conscript military. And so their bottom line for Trump is blunt and simple. Don't blink now. Okay? The only way Trump loses his war is by easing the pressure before Tehran's total capitulation. Hold the line, let Besant's sanctions land, and let the regime's own economic collapse finish what the bombing campaign started. And so obviously, it's no coincidence that Iran's civilian government, their parliament, is now openly begging for a deal. Iranian President Masoud Pezeshkian was reported to have said flatly on Friday that they needed to find a way to end this war immediately. And it's not just Pezeshkian. The parliament speaker, Ghalibaf, who's frankly no moderate, he nevertheless, over the weekend, was reportedly calling for an end to this conflict again immediately. I mean, bottom line, it's killing them. Trump has maintained a full blockade on the Islamic Republic since the previous memorandum of understanding fell apart a few weeks back, effectively cutting off Iran's ability to export oil, starving them of $500 million a day in oil exports. It's the single largest source of revenue for Iran, and it's gone. And that's the financial noose, as it's been called, and it's tightening. Just when the regime thought things could not possibly get worse, the noose is tightening. And this week may indeed be the week that it all comes to a decisive end. While Trump unleashes a political reckoning, there is another crisis poisoning every American in some way, shape, or form, even in the comfort of our own homes. I'm talking about the microplastic epidemic. Now, you may have heard about this, but this is pretty shocking stuff. Check this out.
White ones, we've got clear ones.
Tons of microplastics wash ashore all over the world every day. And now for the first time, scientists in the Netherlands have detected microplastic pollution in human blood.
All the microplastics and nanoplastics we are exposed to, we inhale and we ingest, that actually, there's so much plastic that it can even enter our bloodstream.
The Dutch study on blood samples from healthy adults detected tiny plastic particles in 80% of people.
That's right. There's a microplastic crisis poisoning every American in some way, shape, or form. They're in our food, our water, our meats, our proteins. In fact, according to a recent study, we now ingest 6 times more microplastics than in 1990. It's wreaking havoc on our health and on our organ functions. And unfortunately, no one is immune from this. But there is an amazing solution. There's a unique bacterial strain found only in kimchi that's been found to effectively degrade microplastics. In fact, traditional kimchi is one of the world's most powerful superfoods. But let's be honest, it's messy, it's strong smelling, and not exactly easy to eat every single day. So that's why our good friends over at Brightcore created Kimchi One. Now you can get all the benefits of premium fermented kimchi in convenient capsule form. No mess, no taste, no hassle. I've been taking Kimchi One every single day for months now, and gang, I love it. Each capsule delivers over 900 probiotic strains, live enzymes, and antioxidants that help restore balance in your gut. People are seeing improvements in digestion, bloating, regularity, energy, metabolism. Studies show that kimchi even reduces the risk of obesity. Kimchi One is all natural, non-GMO, and 100% made right here in the USA. It's completely dairy-free, gluten-free, soy-free, so just anyone can take it. I personally love it, and I love knowing that I'm supporting my gut and overall health in one simple step. So if you've been looking for a way to boost your immune system and remove microplastic toxins from your body, this is it. You can get 25% off your order by going to the link below, or for an even better deal, give them a call. My friends at Brightcore would love to chat with you, and they're going to give you 50% off plus free shipping. Call them at 888-597-0233. The first 100 callers to order are going to get a free bottle of vitamin D3. Again, you only get that 50% off and free shipping when you give them a call. So once again, that number is 888-597-0233. Today, Treasury Secretary Scott Bessent is expected to unveil what Trump himself has dubbed an economic D-Day, the single greatest financial offensive ever marshaled against an adversary. Not the greatest sanctions package of the year, not the toughest in a decade. No, of course, this is Trump, the greatest financial offensive ever launched against any nation in the history of the world. Trump's military has already dismantled Iran's military capabilities, destroying nearly 100% of its military factories, buried its nuclear program. U.S. forces have effectively rendered Iran inert. They no longer have the capacity to project power in the region. So now, in Treasury Secretary Scott Bessent's own words, now comes the end game. And this phase isn't fought with fighter jets. It's fought with finance, with dollars. The stated objective is to, quote, sever every economic lifeline that sustains the tyrannical regime until Tehran stands completely alone. And so what that actually means on the ground involves what are called secondary sanctions. Those are the sanctions on any nation, bank, airport, shipping registry, or business anywhere on earth that keeps doing business with Tehran. Trump himself named the targets directly: oil smuggling networks, currency swap lines, cash couriers, exchange houses, shadow fleet ship registries, front companies. Every artery of Iran's black market survival economy is now being targeted. And Trump's warning to the world was pretty blunt. You know who you are. Any country still propping up Tehran, including major oil buyers like China and India, now risks getting cut off from the American financial system entirely. Bessent called this a two-pronged kill shot: total economic isolation combined with a continued naval blockade designed to collapse the regime without needing another missile fired. So this isn't incremental pressure anymore. This is Tehran being told in plain terms that the entire outside world is about to be sealed off from them, all the while their own currency is in free fall and their own parliament speaker is publicly begging for peace. The walls aren't closing in on Iran. They've already closed, which then brings us full circle with what we saw at the beginning. The retired telecom workers in Isfahan who took to the streets in broad daylight protests. Note, these are not students. These aren't professional activists. They're ordinary retirees who spent their entire careers building out Iran's telecom infrastructure, only to find out that their pensions were gone. And they didn't blame the great Satan. They didn't blame Israel. They were ultimately chanting their disgust at the IRGC, which controlled the company. What we have to understand is that this popular revolt really is far more dangerous to the regime than any external military threat, because it represents Iranians turning against the IRGC's economic control rather than against foreign adversaries. Remember, the IRGC controls an estimated 80% of Iran's economy. They control the telecom, banking, pharmaceuticals, mining, all shielded from audits or public accountability. When retirees who built that very telecom sector publicly accuse the IRGC of stealing their pensions, it signals that an open secret has become an open grievance. And so on one side, you got a corrupt, theocratic mafia, the IRGC, that spent decades looting 80% of a nation's economy under the cover of resistance of America. On the other side, you got a U.S. president who understood from day one that the fastest way to bring this terror regime to heel isn't just missiles, it's money. Cut off the oil, freeze the assets, squeeze the shadow economy until the cracks the mullahs have been hiding for 40 years finally end up showing up in the street, in the parliament, and in their own president's public pleadings for peace. Iran's civilian leaders are telling you in their own words that they simply cannot endure. They see it. They're reading the writing on the wall. Their own parliament speaker is telling you the same thing. Their own vice president is warning of worst case scenarios. And their supreme leader is nowhere to be found. We don't even know if he's alive. It does indeed look as if the end is nigh. The regime is dying, and this week may indeed mark its final and inevitable end.